Hi, everybody. I'm going to be learning the Tanya of the day. I'm learning from the book, The Practical Tanya by Rabbi Chaim Miller. So in today's portion, it says the impact of neutral activities. That's what it's going to discuss. And even if you are clean from serious sins of youth, commit in your heart to fulfill the Holy Zohar's teaching to be an expert accountant. The Zohar states that each night before you go to sleep, a person must take account of the actions that he did that day, repent for them, and ask for compassion for them. And people who do this are called expert accountants. So it's saying that every night we should take an account of what we've done that day. Namely, you should make a personal account of all the thoughts, spoken words, and actions that have transpired and come to pass from the day you were born until that day. And ask yourself, were they all from the context of holiness, or some of those an impure context? May God protect us. The definition of an impure context being even all those ostensibly neutral thoughts, spoken words, and actions, which while not religiously forbidden, were not consciously directed towards God to fulfill his will or his worship. Since this is the meaning of Sitra Achra, the other side, anything which is not the holy side, as we learned above. There's a practical lesson here that says also call to mind all your neutral thoughts, spoken words, and actions, which in fact were not really neutral, but actually strengthened the negative forces since they weren't devoted to God. Even if you are not guilty of major sins, did you have thoughts, spoken words, or actions which were not consciously dedicated to God? If you did, these activities had the energy of Sitra Achra, just like an actual sin, a further humbling thought for an ego-deflating session. And this is the thing, this thing is known, that at any moment you think holy thoughts, you become at that time a chariot for the holy chambers in heaven from which the thought flowed. And conversely, whenever you think impure thoughts, you become at that time an impure chariot for the impure chambers from which all bad thoughts flow. And the same is true with holy and impure speech and action. As we learned above, through your garments of thought, speech, and action, you become a physical embodiment, a chariot for the powers which you choose to follow at that moment. So contemplate that whenever you were not conscious of God, you became a vehicle, an embodiment for the impure forces of Sitra Achra. So it's very interesting. It's saying here that even when you're having neutral thoughts that are not necessarily bad per se, but they're not good, they're not connecting with God, that's actually feeding the negative forces. And that's actually where they are coming from. And that we should contemplate every single night if our thoughts, speech, and action from the day we were born up until then were for good and holy thoughts, speech, and action. And were they connecting us with God? Were they bringing us towards doing better, doing more good deeds in this world? As a further source of humbling thoughts, take to heart that the content of your dreams in the majority of cases are a strain to the spirit, because your soul is unable to ascend to heaven. If your soul successfully reached the heavens when you were sleeping, your dreams would have a holy and pure content. Empty or negative dream content suggests your soul was unable to ascend to heaven. This is so interesting. I've never known this before, that if you don't have dreams that that were of good content and holy and pure content, that means that your soul actually was not able to ascend to heaven. That's so fascinating. I always thought that your soul ascends to heaven regardless of what your dreams are, and I guess that's an indication of where your spiritual state. As the verse states, who shall go up on the mount of God, and who shall stand up in his holy place? The clean of hands and the pure of hearts. Only the pure are admitted to heaven, so the mount of God. So the rejection of your soul from there during sleep suggests that you're not clean of hands and pure of heart. What can you expect to dream when your soul is not admitted to heaven? And when the soul fails to enter heaven during sleep, those evil aspects come and cling to him, informing him of worldly matters, some false and some true. And sometimes they toy with him, show him falsehoods, tormenting him in his dream, etc., as stated in the Zohar, in the portion of Vayikra. So this is very interesting. It's saying that even to summarize today's Tanya, what it's saying is that, every night, even when you have neutral thoughts that are not necessarily negative, they still come from a negative force, from the Sitra Achra. And because they're stopping you from connecting with God and doing, holy things in this world, which is the reason that we were put here, is to connect with God in every facet of reality, in every single dimension. And that we are supposed to go to sleep every night and have thoughts of, have an accounting of what we've done with our life up until that day, in our thought, our speech, and our action, and if it's bringing us closer to God or not. And that when we go to sleep at night and we have dreams, that shows us where our spiritual state is at. If we have dreams that torment us or are about physical things, that means that our soul was not able to ascend to heaven, and that our state is not in the state that it should be. And it's another indication that we can work on ourselves to make sure that our thoughts are pure, our actions, our speech is pure, and our actions. Hoping everybody is able to step into the state of purifying your thoughts, your speech, and your action, clinging to God, and bringing about more holiness and godliness in this world. And wishing everybody a beautiful weekend. Take care.